Dr. Jake Smith Jr., my guy.
Hello.
Welcome to the Valiant Living Podcast. Thanks for doing this, man.
You got it. So glad to be here. We've done this a couple of times before.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite podcasts to come on, just
Yeah?
with you, and always a great conversation.
Well, I've said this to your face, so I'll say it to the public. When I came out of Valiant, when I came out of rehab, I don't remember how we reconnected. I mean, we were friends before. I think I may have reached out to you or vice versa. I don't know. But I engaged with Plumline, your company, what would you call it?
Coaching practice.
Coaching practice.
Yeah.
And it single-handedly was the most impactful thing that I've done so far in my recovery. You've got a few different cohorts that you can go through: heart, soul, and then there's an integrated one. I did it backwards. I think I started with integrated because that's what you had available.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk about like holiday season stuff. But I just wanted to say thank you, man, because the aftercare when you're coming out of treatment and you're learning how to walk again, you feel like a toddler, and you're crying to people in the, Walmart checkout line. Your emotions are all over the place, and you're reestablishing a brand new life and a brand new thing. And you've been such a great friend to me, but also a mentor, a coach, a guide, all those other things. And so Plumline, I want people to go check it out. I'll link to it and all that kind of stuff, because you can do, I think, virtual too, right?
Sure.
Do virtual stuff.
Yep, we do.
It's
virtual cohorts.
It's such an amazing, and actually, could you just give us a little synopsis of what Plumline is before we jump into today's topic?
Sure. Well, in particular with recovery stuff, it's like, step one has got to be sobriety, abstinence. Like, that's where you have to start.
Right.
And then becomes this lifelong process of growth and development, and like, let's go live our lives in this new and healthy way, building on the foundation of what that great recovery work did. And that's really what Plumline tries to do, is partner with the recovery process kind of on the growth and development side of it, right? So what we specialize in is something called individuation, which is a concept from the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung. And what individuation is the process of becoming who you truly are. So what all Plumline work, whether it's individual coaching, whether it's the Living with Heart cohort, the Discover Your Soul cohort, what it's all ultimately about is, how do we draw you out? How do we draw out this person that's in there that God made you to be? And once you can get at that, once you get a hold of that, all of a sudden you know what your life's about, right?
Yeah.
And that's very empowering.
Well, Jamie and I just came probably 2 weeks ago and sat down with you and just had this same type of conversation. Like, hey, help guide us through, like, how are we meant to use our best time and effort and energy based on who God has created us and wired us to be? And you walked us through our core values, our family values, and we're going to bring our family back in over the holidays, all sit down and just talk through, like, we were designed and made a certain way. And I even love how sometimes you get on your soapbox about the what's the phrase? I hate it, but it's oh gosh, I just blanked on it. Be the best version of yourself.
I hate that phrase. Like, become the best version of yourself, or something. Like, that's really, when people say that, they're really talking about become the idealized version of yourself. It's steeped in other people's expectations, or the culture's expectations, society's expectations, your church's expectations, whatever it is. And that couldn't be further from the true self. It's kind of like, here's this person I'm supposed to be, or here's how I'd be if I was perfect or something. That's typically what the best version of yourself is about. I want to help people become the true version of themselves, and that's awesome. That's a very different thing.
It's a very different thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of places we could go with this conversation. Who knows where it'll end up. But I did want to specifically talk about, we're in the holiday season, and when this podcast comes out, people will be gearing up to have a bunch of family parties, holiday parties. Our family loves the holiday season. It's a joyful season for us. And what's also true is there are so many things around the holidays that can trigger all kinds of emotions.
Yeah.
And if we don't have the right tools, it can be It can lead us into a destructive place, or it can lead us into a really present, really grounded, really healthy place.
Yeah.
I think if we approach it, in the best way. And so I wanted to dive into that a little bit, because most of the people listening or watching this episode are going to be, a lot of them are clinicians, that we partner with. A lot of them are families, spouses of addicts, or the addict themselves. And so the goal would be, man, if we could help people navigate the holiday season in a safe and a healthy way, I think that would be a really beautiful thing. So let's just start high level. Why do you think the holidays, specifically Christmas, New Year's, why do you think that just conjures up so much emotion and triggers?
Yeah. Well,
or do you not feel that way?
Yeah. No, I feel that way. When we talk about, emotions, feelings, a lot of times kind of where triggers, kind of live, we're kind of talking about, neurologically speaking, this part of the brain back here that's kind of right above the brainstem, the limbic system, And there's a couple of things that's true about that part of the brain when I'm kind of back there experiencing life or living life, kind of disintegrated from that part of the brain, which tends to happen in the holidays. And one of the things that's true is it doesn't recognize time. Like there's no time back here. And so that's why something that happened to me when I was 8 or 10 might as well have happened yesterday. In terms of the way my brain thinks about it.
Really?
And will inform the way that I interpret what's happening right in front of me. I know what that facial expression means. I've heard that tone of voice before. Those types of things. And since the brain only has one job to do, like keep me safe, keep me alive, it's going to heavily allow the wounds of my life, the hurts of my life, to wire it in such a way that it promises. So it thinks, I'll never be hurt like that again. So we go home for the holidays and all of these complex, painful experiences, whether the hurt is the kind of hurt that was done to me, or my hurt was the kind of hurt where stuff was withheld from me, things that I needed, nurtured from a parent or something.
Yeah.
Being seen, being honored, being cared for. My brain is going to tell me I'm not safe around the holidays. I'm at risk of being hurt emotionally, mentally, sometimes physically, spiritually manipulated or something. And so all of that just comes right back to the surface and becomes real in my lived experience around the holidays. And so I'm on high alert.
Yeah.
And all those old wounds just get pressed on, and it literally can turn me into a 9-year-old little boy again.
Wow. And just painful reminders of loss. I know during the holidays, my wife definitely feels the sadness of the loss of her father. And that's something, and I've noticed in myself that if I don't honor the emotions that come up, man, they come out sideways.
That's right.
Bad. Like all of a sudden I'm yelling at the kids for no reason, or I'm irritable, or even we had a great Thanksgiving, and I came home and Jamie said, "Hey, are you good? Are you okay? You need to process anything?" And I felt okay, but I just had some wounds, some things that came up, and I wasn't addressing them. I wasn't paying attention to them. I guess my question would be, when you come into these settings, how do we develop the self-awareness?
Yes.
To say, hey, this is actually what's happening right now.
Yes.
Does that question make sense?
Yeah.
Because I've lived most of my life and just would be angry and don't know why. And I'm like, I'm actually really sad because of this.
Yes. So a great tool to help with that is something called affect labeling.
Okay.
AFFECT labeling. And that's just the science of learning to recognize and name the feelings that are true inside of me. that are showing up inside of me. And if I can name what I feel, I can trace that to what I need, what my heart needs. And if I can figure out what my heart needs, I can take responsibility to ensure my needs are going to get met in a healthy way. And the empowering part of that is I'm not going to hang the responsibility of my feelings and needs onto the people around me. Okay. Unhealthy relationships tend to do that. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling sad. And that's on you. And you got to change the way you interact with me, the way you speak to me, the way you behave towards me, so that I don't have to have these feelings and these needs of my heart don't emerge. So we go around, either codependently kind of managing people, to control that in some way, or counter-dependently, like demanding other people, kind of sync up and take on the responsibility, take on the role of making sure that I don't have feelings and that my needs don't get exposed. Once I'm willing to do that for myself, it's like I can take care of me. I don't need anyone else to be responsible for me or take care of me. I'm not 8 anymore. I'm not 9 anymore. I'm a grown up and I can take care of me. The operational process to do that is like, man, I'm here for Christmas or whatever it is. I'm gathered with my family. All my stuff is getting pressed on. It's like for me to be able to go, wow, it's really scary for me to be in this room right now. Well, the need of fear is protection, help, and refuge.
Give an example. So you said it would be really scary to be in this room right now.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting on the kind of the other side and I hear that, my brain goes, well, I'm with my family. Why would it be scary?
Yeah. Well, it's important to note that we don't get to choose the feelings that show up.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't choose to be afraid. I am or I'm not. I'm scared or I'm not. It hurt or it didn't. I feel lonely or I don't feel lonely. I'm sad or I'm not sad. I don't get to choose that, right? The only choice I have is what do I do with the feelings that are true for me? Am I kind of suppressing them, kind of coping them away, or am I open, to allow the feelings that show up to be there? Am I willing to name them, explore what they're about, which is the question you just asked? What's this fear about for me? So depending on the feeling, we need to understand something about what these feelings are definitively. So fear is the feeling that shows up for me when I sense I may be at risk, or someone I love may be at risk of being harmed in one of 4 ways. Emotionally harmed, mentally harmed, certainly physically harmed, or spiritually harmed, okay? And the feeling doesn't have to be rational. That's a rational thought. I'm a grown up, I'm strong, I'm here with my family, what is there to be afraid of? Feelings are often not rational, and I find in my work, if we dig enough, if we peel enough layers, it'll always be rational.
Right.
The feeling will always make sense, right? We just get back to the story
Yeah.
of kind of what the brain's doing when it's like, oh, you may not be safe right now. So there's all kinds, there's 2 kinds of hurt. We talk about fear of being harmed. And I just mentioned it a little bit earlier in this podcast. There's 2 kinds of hurt. There's the hurt that's done to me. And that's the kind that's a little bit easier to name, perhaps. I was physically abused, sexually abused, something like that. But then the second kind of hurt is the hurt that's the brand of hurt where I needed something, nurture from a parent or something, and what I needed was withheld from me. Okay? And that kind of hurt can be a lot harder to name or to point out. And it's insidious in that way, because some of the most confused people I work with are the people, not the people who went yeah, my dad used to beat me when I'd bring home a C on my report card or something. It's whoa, okay, we know how to treat that, but it's more the person who goes, I had a warm room in my home in the winter and a cool room in the summer, and we ate dinner together as a family, and we went to church, and I had birthday parties and spend the nights, and Christmas was a gathering experience, and Dad paid for college, and
What
so
do I have
why
to-
am I so pissed off all the time?
Right.
Why do I feel so insecure about who I am and what
Yeah.
so that kind of hurt, that second kind of hurt, what was withheld from me is really, really painful too. And sometimes we re-enter the context or the scenes, with these characters in my story around the holidays, and the brain goes on high alert, and it's like, look, they're still dismissing you.
Mm-hmm.
They're still objectifying you and using you to prop them up or to play your role
Mm-hmm.
in the family that dismisses the dignity of you as an individual, as a human being. You're going to now, once again, be required to roll over, let yourself go, agree, with, whatever the sentiments are that are being, expressed. And it can be very, very lonely in that way. It can be very, very painful in that way. It can be very, very scary, in that way.
That's super helpful. As you're talking, I was remembering a time early in recovery I still feel early in recovery, but earlier in recovery, where we were in a session of sorts, and naming the emotion that I felt I had suppressed emotions for so long. That was really difficult for me to even be able to name which one is it.
Yeah.
And I know there's a feelings wheel with a bunch of them, but there's 8 core ones that I know that you use a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, in every session, it's right there on the floor.
That's right.
What's helpful for me is I needed 8 and no more at first.
Yeah.
Like I needed to be able to find on that chart which one of these 8, because all the other words, it was just I couldn't. And I remember early on, I was feeling apathy.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I would have named it that way. And I called it something else. And you said, I think you might be lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what, lonely? No way. I got friends all over this town. What are you talking about? And I didn't say that out loud, but I'm thinking there's no way I'm not a lonely guy.
Yeah.
And as you started to unpack it, man, I felt like lump in my throat.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm lonely.
Yeah.
And it's because the impairment of that was apathy. And it wasn't until you were able to help me name that I was actually able to say, oh, there is a need here that I can fill in a healthy way. I know how to get connection and healthy, like attunement now, but that's really what I'm longing for. So I might even, like, as a download on this episode, attach some sort of, I'm sure you've got some sort of chart or something where someone could look at. Now, sure. I would recommend someone work with someone like yourself to kind of help guide through that. But I think it's helpful just to see even a chart of 8 core feelings and be like, which one of these am I feeling right now?
Yeah, that's right. That chart you're talking about, the 8 core feelings, that's from a guy named Dr. Chip Dodd. Mm-hmm. He's got a great book called Voice of the Heart, and he kind of defines those 8 feelings in that book, talks about the importance of each of the feeling, the gift that those feelings want to lead us to. So that's definitely worth, and I'm happy to kind of give you that fully built out chart, because like we talked about, when those 8 core feelings show up for me, and he would call those like the primary feelings, right? It's not that we only have 8 feelings, but it's like, these are the primary colors. There's more colors than red, yellow, and blue. But I start mixing red, yellow, and blue together in some different ways. You come up with millions of shades of color, right? Well, the feelings work like that too. It's like maybe these are the 8 primary, feelings. You start mixing a few of those together in different ways. You come up with billions of emotional experiences that are possible, right? But the value of getting back to the core ingredients that's creating this emotional experience, right? Is essential, because if I can get back to the core ingredients, that's where I really got a good shot to name what I need, And so that fully built out chart will show that. It'll show the 8 core feelings, and the list right to the right is a list called need that associates with the feeling that I just named. And then there's another list to the right of that that's called gift. And that's why feelings are good. They actually all have a gift, according to Dodd, that these feelings want to lead me to. If I'm willing to name them, feel them, explore them, get the need met in a healthy way, they lead me to this gift. But on the other side, if I'm choosing not to feel them, and we don't like to feel them because they are physically uncomfortable in our body, right? When we talk about feelings, we're not just talking about something conceptual. Like, we're talking about physical sensations that I don't like. It doesn't feel good. pit in my stomach, or the rolling, kind of in my gut, the burn in my sternum, or the tight chest, or sometimes almost a vacuous sensation in my chest, or heaviness on my chest. You just mentioned one, the lump in the throat, or the constricted breathing, tightness around my eyes and ears, headaches, disoriented sensations in my head. These are the physical expression or manifestation of those 8 feelings: fear, hurt, lonely, shame, guilt, etc. And we don't like how they feel. So it's very natural to go, how do I get rid of this? And ironically, we intuitively think the way I get rid of this is by kind of ignoring it, dismissing it somehow. And the problem is, if I do that, the feeling does not go away. It impairs. It kind of devolves. And that's what you were talking about a minute ago when you said, man, when I do that, they end up coming out sideways and in damaging and harmful ways. So the list to the left that everybody's going to see on that chart is the list of impairments. It's like, if I ignore that fear, where does it go? If I ignore that loneliness, where does it go? In this case, to apathy or indifference. Like, I don't care.
Right.
I just don't care what anybody thinks about me. You know what? Well, that's just impaired loneliness.
Wow.
And then the list to the left of that, I call it the curse of the unfelt feeling. If I stay in that impairment long enough, the curse of the unfelt or unnamed feeling is going to manifest. And that stuff's really ugly.
Well, and not to get too far off topic, but the one that comes up for me a lot is in anger. Anger is probably the most easily accessible of the 8 for me. I get there quick. There's always, isn't there always something beneath anger? How would you say that?
Yeah, so the 8 feelings are anger, hurt, fear, sad, lonely, shame, guilt, and glad. And of that 8, there's 2 on the list that are never alone. One of the others will kind of always be attached to it or partnered to it. And that can change, depending on kind of what the anger is about. But anger is one of those that's never alone. You'll never just be angry. It'll always be angry plus something else. So anger, and in a session, I would say anger and what else?
Right.
And it's like, well, anger and fear, or anger and hurt, or anger and sadness.
Yeah.
The other one, incidentally, that's never alone is glad. We'll never just be glad. It'll always be glad and like, well, glad and what else? Glad and shame. Yeah. Glad and fear.
Right. Right.
Glad and hurt, so whatever.
Man, there's so much different places I want to go with this, because I love this conversation. But you were talking a minute ago. Don't you think that's potentially why we addicts during the holiday season relapse is so much higher? Yeah. Because you were saying earlier, like, we're just looking. Most of us escape to this unhealthy addiction because it helps us not feel.
Yeah.
And when these big feelings come up around the holidays, we're either around families or we're at a lot of holiday parties, or, maybe it's even shame of, man, I remember acting a fool at last year's party, or temptations. I got all this stuff around me, and I don't know how to name what's going on. So I just got to get out of this pain. So I'm going to have I'll just take a little sip, or I'm just going to, get on my phone for a minute. I'm going to take the edge off a little bit because I'm really dysregulated. I mean, do you think that's part of why we see a spike in the holiday season?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how Valiant talks about, addiction definitively. In my own personal study and pursuit, the opposite of addiction is connection. It's not sobriety. It's not the opposite of addiction. The opposite is connection.
Yeah, we say that a lot at Valiant.
Okay, good. That's great. So we're synced up.
We're on the same page, yeah.
And so what that means is a willingness to connect instead of, turn to my addiction. A willingness to be in relationship involves a willingness to have my feelings, right? There is no connection without a willingness to feel what I feel and let you feel what you feel and care about the needs that are connected to those feelings. And that requires a lot of me, a willingness to feel and to let you feel and to care about and to honor the needs that are associated with the feelings, right? Well, my addiction is anything I choose over the discomfort and the difficulty of having my own feelings, letting you have yours, and caring about those needs, right? Connection is hard. And so too hard at times. And so rather than that, I'll just drink. I'll
Yeah.
just numb out all those feelings.
Right.
Because
And it could be whatever. I'll go gamble. I'll go look at pornography. I'll go whatever.
exactly right.
Yep.
It could be religion.
Wow.
Right? Religious addiction. Like if it's true that my addiction is anything I choose over relationship with you, you're too hard. This group is too hard. So I'm going to choose this thing over relationship with you. Okay. Religion could very much foot that bill as well. You think about somebody
crazy.
diagnosed with cancer,
Yeah.
right? And instead of like feeling my sadness and my fear of the loss of the person and allowing them to feel their hurt and their sadness and being in that together, right? What do we do? Like, oh, nope, we don't receive it. God is a great physician. The prayer offered in faith will make the sick person well. We reject this diagnosis. Like, they just told you they had cancer. And this weird spiritual denial where we start piling on Bible verses and spiritual cliches and platitudes is so damaging and such addictive behavior.
Bro, I'm about to come out of my skin with what you're saying, right? I mean, that is so powerful what you're saying. And I do think I was literally just in a setting not too long ago, and a group of guys, it was a Christian setting, and a guy opened up, and it was beautiful. Finally opened up, and the leader of the group, the first response was he almost shut him down and gathered everyone around him to pray. And I wanted to be like, please let him be in this. Let us be in this with him for a minute.
Yes.
And I love that you're reframing that, because I do think there are other things, even for the traumatized spouses, betrayed, like, because they're going to feel feelings too. They're listening to this, and there may not be an addiction to a substance, but they're going to feel big feelings during the holiday season too. And how you just described that, reframed it, helps us. No matter who's listening to this, there is going to be something, whether it's alcohol or it's my small group at church or it's going to the Christmas Eve services or whatever it is, that if we're not careful, could, how would you say, like, numb that experience
could replace connection with self, connection with God, and connection with others. Could replace it, right?
Which would potentially lead to what? Because if someone's listening, say it's
utter isolation,
yeah,
disintegration, immaturity. At some level, if I could just reframe, like, often we approach holidays or these types of things that could be triggering, and we see it as something to survive. We see it as something to kind of conquer. If we could reframe it as, in an optimistic way, it's like, that's going to be one of the greatest tools for your own growth and development that you could imagine. It's the gym.
to actually experience connection.
Yeah, and to grow my own capacity for connection, which is to grow my own capacity to tolerate and bear the weight of my feelings and to hold space for other people to have their feelings with me, whether they can name them or not, But we can actually grow or strengthen our internal infrastructure to bear the weight and tolerate our feelings, which is necessary for real, authentic, healthy, lasting relationships. Even the relationship with self, right? And so we miss all that if we kind of lean into the addictions that will allow me to not have to feel or to get rid of the discomfort of feelings. Now, I'd like to make a caveat here, and this also answers your question of like, well, what are these tools or what are these concepts as we go into the holiday season that can help us go to that gym and get a good solid sweat in and exercise in on learning to grow my tolerance or, for these feelings. The one thing I would say is, if you're willing to do that, is you've got to be aware of something called charge. Charge.
Yes. Yep.
So if you imagine a scale from 1 to 10, and 10 is like, I'm about to jump off a bridge or I'm about to throw somebody off a bridge. Like, I am coming unglued here. And 1 is like, I'm completely numbed out, checked out. I'm not recognizing or noticing. I don't really feel anything, right? And then this range, okay? Well, somewhere in the middle, let's call it between a 4 and a 7 charge. And charge is like how much energy does the group of feelings in me have? How much weight, do they press down on me with? Okay. Well, a charge from a number 4 all the way up to a number 7 would be a weight or an energy that is tolerable for me. Like I can bear the weight of that. I can handle how much energy those have. It might not be comfortable, right? But I can handle it. I can hold the tension of it. 7, pretty high. It's like, ooh, I'm right on the edge here, but I can stay in the conversation. I can stay in the room. I'm still in control of what I say. I'm still in control of my behaviors. I'm still in control of what I do. But the moment I slip outside of that 7 and I go up to like an 8, a 9, a 10, what I like to say is at an 8, 9, 10 charge, that's a charge or a weight that's too much for me. I can't tolerate the intensity of the feelings at that level. That's not me having feelings at that point. That's my feelings having me. Mm-hmm. That's when they take over. That's when they start to drive. That's when they start pushing stuff out of my mouth that misrepresents who I am. That's when they start pushing behaviors, creating behaviors that are not true to my true self, right? So we got to pay attention to that charge as we kind of do this workout of learning to tolerate and grow my capacity to have feelings. I got to notice when I'm rising. I got to notice when I'm on the cusp of slipping out of my window of tolerance, going from a 7 to an 8. And the goal in those moments, the goal of this holiday season in those moments, I don't care if you're in the middle of dinner, the goal is to lower the charge 100%. It's not to name the feelings at that point. It's not to explore them. It's not to figure out what I need. There is one goal and one goal only at that point. And it's like, how do I get that charge lowered back down into my window of tolerance? And methodologically, the way that you do that is by detaching in a healthy way from my feelings and from my thoughts. What does that mean? Like, how do you detach in a healthy way from your feelings and your thoughts? You get out of your head and out of your feelings and into your body through your senses, right? So it's like we've been designed by God with such amazing agency of mind. I can target my mind and my thoughts and my feelings on what I choose, right? And again, that's a muscle that I have to practice growing as well. Okay, it's not easy, but we can do it. Where do we see that in the scripture? Well, we're instructed to take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. How could we be asked to do that if God didn't design us with agency of mind? Or there's passages that say, hey, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about those things. Well, how could I be instructed to do that if I don't have agency of mind, right? So we do have this beautiful gift called agency of mind where I can choose to think about or not think about whatever I want. And that's different than suppressing or coping away feelings. That's me going, my charge is high. I need to get back down into my window of tolerance so that I can continue to do those workouts, name what I feel, figure out what I need, get that need met in a healthy way. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about going on a walk around the block in the freezing cold if you must, right? But on that walk, you're not just going to go, hey, I'm just going to go on a quick walk around the block, whatever. It's easy to kind of get away with that. You're not just going to go on a walk and stay in your head and keep spinning and pontificating and ruminating on what was just said or done in there.
Right, because you could spiral yourself.
That's right. That doesn't lower the charge. You're not focused on your body at that point. You're still in your head. Your body's moving, but you're not focused on, well, what muscles am I using right now? Feeling the cold air on my skin, smelling the smells that are in the air, listening to the sounds that are true in the place. And that getting 100% of my attention is what actually lowers the charge. But if I'm just out moving my body and walking and I'm still spinning in my head, that's not going to lower the charge. Right. So the goal is to lower the charge. You have to give your full thinking, focus, concentration to the physical sensations of your body. Here's a couple of other practical things. So go on a walk around the block is one. Go take a bath or a shower. That's sacred space in these crammed full houses with people, there's smells in there to experience. The soap, the shampoo, there's There's sensory experiences on your skin, the warm
But you're
water.
being present to these things.
You're giving your full attention. Like, I am experiencing life 100% through my senses in those moments. Something else you can do is like, just go do the dishes. That's helpful. People appreciate that. And guess what? It's sensory. You feel the water. You smell the, you feel the bubbles, help with prepare the meal, right?
And see, those are great tools that also, if you're experiencing any kind of fear and anxiety about, I hate to say causing a scene, because I think, like what you said before, the most important thing is to get back into a healthy charge.
That's right.
But when you say
tolerable
charge, yeah. But you talk about doing the dishes or helping prepare whatever, you're still engaged.
Still helping out. But it's also serving you deeply and richly. And the last thing I'll say about this is, also just a couple other examples, by the way. We've given it walk, bath, shower, help prepare the meal, help do the dishes. YouTube is so great to slip into your bedroom or even go in the main room and invite some people to do it with you. I like to search for beginner yoga on YouTube because I need beginner yoga. I'm not very flexible at all.
What's it like to be able to touch your toes? That would be amazing.
It'd be wonderful without your hamstrings exploding. It'd be great. But because yoga is so hard for me, like, that's a really great way for me to get into my body through my senses. Like, it's like holding that pose. It's really uncomfortable for me, and allowing myself to feel that stretch or that strain. It's just another easy way for me to get into my body. And again, invite some of the kids to do it with you.
Right.
Invite your siblings, your parents. Like, just come on, let's do this. But again, you're not doing yoga and you're still thinking. It's like you're giving 100% of your energy over to these sensations in your body. Anyway, there's 100 things you can do to get out of your head and into your body through your senses. But the last thing I'll say about it is, don't be surprised, like, when you're on your walk for 5 minutes and your charge is just still as high as it was. Mm-hmm. It's like, don't think, in an idealized way, about how effective this thing's going to be quickly.
I imagine you getting emails right now. Dr. Jake said this was going to work, and I'm still pissed after my walk. But
I'm 15 minutes on a walk, and I'm still, and it's like, it can take an hour. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you didn't get there quickly.
Before that charge starts to lower, or actually, you can get the high charge quickly.
Can you?
That's what a trigger is I spike.
Oh,
right? I was at a 4, and then
someone said something, and
I went to a 10 in a moment. But unfortunately, it doesn't work in the reverse like that. It can take me an hour to get that
interesting
8, 9, 10 lowered back to a 7, 6, 5. At the very least, it'll take 20 or 30 minutes potentially to do that. Okay, and so just be prepared for that mentally. It's like that's the work. We talk about doing the work. It's like that's the work. It's like, all right, I'm high. I got to go on this walk. I got to go take a bath or a shower, and this is going to be a 30-minute shower, and I am 100% working to get out of my head, out of my thoughts, out of my feelings, into my body through these senses. And I'm going to stay in the practice until that charge is like, okay, my breathing slowed down. It's deeper. I'm back in control of what I say and what I do. And I'm ready to re-engage, re-enter, the relationship.
I would even recommend, I would love to get your thoughts on this, but those of us that are early in recovery, I would recommend being really intentional with the checking in stuff, calling our sponsor, even setting it like, hey, whether I need it or not during the holidays, can we just talk for 5 minutes every day?
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is, for me at least, if I'm not intentional with checking in, or if Jamie and I don't check in and put it on the calendar, I'll sweep it under. I'll be, no, I'm okay. And then stuff starts coming aside. But if we have an intentional time every day at the end of the day through the holiday season, just to be like, hey, let's check in with ourselves real quick. Let's look at these 8 feelings. What's coming up for us right now? And like pausing and doing that, it feels a little more proactive than reactive, of like waiting until, because for me at least, and maybe not everyone's this way, a lot of times when I actually get to where I'm feeling it, I'm pretty dysregulated.
Yeah, that's right.
As opposed to saying, actually, no, I did have some sadness come up today. Let's kind of get out in front of it. I I don't know. What are your thoughts on that as far as just being proactive with checking in during the holidays?
It's like exercising. You know, it's like a healthy person, 4 or 5 times a week is going to go to the gym, go on a walk, go on a jog. Like they're going to do it consistently to just exercise and stay in shape. And so what you're suggesting is a great exercise for the heart. It's like learning to turn our attention to our own hearts, what we're feeling, what we're experiencing, putting words to it, labeling it, saying it out loud to another human being where there's attunement, a place to process and say, here's what I think these feelings are about. What do you think you need? Like, this is great exercise, for the heart.
I'm going to take a quick little side trip because you triggered a thought for me. When we check in your Plumline groups, the one thing you guide us to do as participants is we hold space for that person to say what they're feeling and where they're at. We also, before we respond, we ask them if it's okay for us to give feedback.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining it could be a husband-wife scenario where there's whatever. If you're like me, my codependency peaks up and I want to fix my wife's whatever she's feeling in that moment. Well, maybe we can do. Yeah. What I've learned from you is if I'll just kind of hold space there, a lot of times I don't even need to say anything.
Yeah,
I just need to receive it.
That's right.
If there is something, I follow your model and I'll say, hey, are you open to some feedback? And then, this is huge, I've learned from you, the feedback is not about her.
That's right.
It's about what came up for me and how I'm feeling.
What's going on inside of me that,
Right, it's not open to some feedback, here's what I think you should do.
Yeah.
Are you open to some feedback, here's what's going on inside of me. And the beautiful thing about that is no one ever feels, at least in my experience, the likelihood of someone feeling attacked, like a project trying to be fixed, mostly what happens is they feel less alone.
Yeah,
they feel there's a higher degree of connection. Right. So anything else you'd add? I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I'd say there's 2 things there, like even like a 1-step, 2-step process. So when someone else is showing up, kind of with feelings, step 1 often, even before feedback, is just curiosity. Be curious with the person. And in doing so, you're helping them reflect and process what's actually going on inside of them. But secondly, you're in a process of discovering them yourself. Like, I want to know you. I want to gain an understanding of like what it's like to be you and what you're carrying and what you're facing. So there's a psychiatrist, brilliant psychiatrist out in the DC area. His name's Kurt Thompson. Wrote a bunch of great books. He's got this quote, "Curiosity is loving." It's like, what does it look like to really love somebody in a way that they feel loved by you? According to Thompson, the answer to that is curiosity. Just be curious with them. And one of the things that I'll tell you, we're at Plumline, we have a coaching certification product where we train other coaches to be Plumline coaches. And one of the things that I teach them is to ask what questions. Questions that start with the word what. What questions are way better than questions that start with the word why? Why are you feeling like that? Like why questions can feel very shaming. Why questions are next to impossible to answer. Why'd you hit your sister? He didn't have a frontal lobe. He didn't know why he hit his sister. It's like, oh no. It's like, so why questions aren't great. How questions can be good, but they tend to bypass the heart and get us up into our head. Problem solving, strategic. Well, how can we do this differently next time? Well, we can, now we're kind of more intellectualizing than we are engaging at a heart level. But what questions? What's that like for you? What's the impact of what they said or what they did? What's at risk if that dynamic doesn't change? What opportunities? Just these what questions.
All right, here's a real life scenario.
Okay.
I'm gonna get some free.
Let's role play.
I'm getting some free therapy here.
Let's role play.
I'm going on a trip next week. I really want my wife to go with me.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
My first instinct would be to say, well, why don't you want to go?
Yeah.
Like I've got my companion pass on Southwest. It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
Stay in the hotel room. I got a car. Like why, and I'm not, I know her and all those things, and I'm not upset. But as a as an example.
Yeah.
How could I reframe that to make her feel like I'm being more curious?
Yeah.
What's a what question there?
Yeah, sure. Well, number one, it's so vulnerable to show up and knock on the door with the heart.
Okay.
Right. But I would probably begin by kind of bringing my heart to her first and just say, hey, I'm really sad that we're not going to be able to share the experience of this trip together. And sadness is that feeling that rises in us. It's the honoring feeling. It points to what we care about most when that thing we care about is either lost or is missing. I'm really, really sad that we're not going to get to share this experience as this trip. I would really enjoy and love to share that experience with you. What's your perspective on the trip? I know you said you don't want to go. Like, what's coming up for you when you imagine taking that trip? And just begin to knock on that door.
That feels way less shaming than why don't you want to go?
Yeah, why don't you
like,
want to go on this trip with me? Don't you want to grow closer together? But like, it's like what's what are your thoughts around the trip that makes it seem disinteresting to you? Like, what's the source of that? And she'll come up with some things, and then that'll lead to another what question. What would make the trip seem more appealing to you? What would be a way that we can maybe achieve this closeness, apart from that trip, if that's not something that we're going to get to do it. Then you're getting your own need met in a healthy way. It's like, well, maybe the trip's not going to be the methodology, but the sadness is I want this closeness with you, so I still care about that even if you're not going to go on this trip. And the trick of the whole thing is, once again, remember what emotional maturity and health is all about is I'm responsible for my feelings and needs and no one else, right? So when I'm opening the conversation with, I'm really sad that I'm going to miss this opportunity to go on this trip with you, there's going to be a temptation to want to make her responsible for my sadness.
Yes.
My sadness is on you.
Yeah,
I'm
fix
sad
this
because
for me
of
now.
you,
Right.
and you're not going on this trip, therefore I have to be sad. And, if that's kind of the shadow mission underneath this thing, like you need to be responsible for what I feel, and you need to be sure you're doing things that don't make me feel this way, so you need to come on this trip so I don't have to be sad anymore or something. That can be no part of it in terms of the internal motivation and drive. That's just true. You're not responsible for my sadness, but I am sad because I care about us and this. And like, what's your thought process, that led you to, that's not a trip I'm interested in.
Yeah. One thing that Jamie and I have been doing together, just because we're both in codependency recovery and all that stuff and trying to learn, she does this for me a lot and I try to do it for her, but she'll even put a little disclaimer like, hey, I need to share with you how I'm feeling, and I don't need you to fix it. But she says it in a way that's like, I don't need you to fix it. It's more like, it lets me kind of put my defense down. Oh, okay. Yeah. Which has been really helpful because immediately I always want to go into fix it mode. Yeah. That's super helpful. Can I ask you one? Do you have time for another couple questions? Okay. This is phenomenal.
Good.
I'm like, yeah. I got. First of all, I got to.
That feels good.
Yeah. And a big affirmation guy, but I'm just sitting here like, man, this is so good. It's so helpful, and I'm like, I got to use that. I got to use that tactic before Jamie hears the episode to try to get her to go with me on the trip this week. my narcissism.
That'd be great. Yeah. Here's how I can coerce her.
Yeah. Help me know how to better manipulate my wife into doing what I want her to do.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about boundaries for just a second. That's big during the holiday season for people like me who really wrestle with codependency and trying to control and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Setting those boundaries is sometimes very difficult. Yeah. People pleasers like myself, it's tough because you're trying to do what everyone wants you to do during the season and show up to all the parties and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes you just don't have it. Yeah. It's just not maybe going home is not the best move this Christmas. I don't know. How can you help us think through setting boundaries? Yeah.
Well, I think a little bit differently. I think about boundaries than some people, and you mentioned that there are several practitioners perhaps listening to this podcast that may disagree with me and would love for them to kind of weigh in on on the Instagram feed or whatever and give their point of view as well. But for me, you really only need boundaries in a relationship that you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the relationships that I choose, because I'm not required to have a relationship with anybody,
Mm-hmm.
including my parents, including my siblings, including my family. Like I get to choose who I want to be in relationship with, and certainly safety and connection has something to do with that decision that I have to make. But once I choose the relationship, this is someone I want a relationship with. Now we need to have boundaries, and that's any relationship needs boundaries at some level,
Mm-hmm.
not just the ones that are like pressing in on me or threatening. It's like any relationship that's healthy needs boundaries. And for me, here's what a boundary is. Okay, what do I need to put in place to keep myself safe so that I can have a relationship with you? That's a boundary. It's like I want a relationship with you, so I need to put some things in place to keep myself safe so that I can have a relationship with you, right? That's what empowers a relationship, is a boundary. Now, a couple other things that may be unorthodox about my thoughts on boundaries. Number one, they're not designed to control anybody. Like I'm not putting a boundary in place to tell you what you can and can't do. My boundary is actually not for you as much as it's for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's me limiting myself to feel safe in a relationship with you. What are some examples of that? Well, maybe I go home for the holidays and one of my boundaries is I don't talk politics with my family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't control whether or not they talk politics. I'm probably going to get a rise in that charge as they do. But a boundary is I'm going to limit myself to engaging in that conversation. I don't talk politics. I'm not saying that needs to be your boundary, but that's just an example of one that it can be. Even when they try to pull you into it, what do you think? Like, I'm just listening. Well, I know you have an opinion on it. I'm enjoying just listening. You guys proceed. Well, I don't understand why you're not weighing in. Like, this time I just want to listen. You just like, you don't even have to, like, a lot of times I hear people need to establish the boundary with the person. Hey, I'm coming home for Christmas, and just so you know, I'm drawing a boundary. I won't be talking politics with you guys. That a lot of times can stir up more and poke the hornet's nest more than you even need to. I don't actually believe you have to establish some boundaries. Some of you do. Mm-hmm. But a lot of boundaries, I don't even have to inform the other person that it's there.
Right. You don't need to go around
declaring
your
bringing
boundaries.
it into the open. I can just have it myself and uphold it myself. Like, I'm just not going to engage in this. I'm not going to talk religion or theology over, the holidays. I can't control you guys doing that, but it'd be inappropriate for me to demand, and no one else can either. It's like
that,
this
you're
is
just
for
trying
me.
to control at that point. Yeah.
This is for me. Other boundaries that may be possible. Limiting myself on the time that I'm there, perhaps. Okay. Hey, we're all getting together, for 5 days, and we're all going to be staying in the same place. We're all going to Grandma and Grandpa's house, and all the cousins are going to sleep together, and we're all staying in the same place, and we're 5 days, and we've got this great plan. We're going here, we're going there, we're having these meals, and maybe a boundary I have for myself is I think I got 3 in me. I don't got
a good
5.
solid 3.
I got a solid 3, and 2 of those are going to be travel days. It's like I'm showing up.
Right.
Day 1, I'm staying a full day, sleeping the second night, and I'm going home day 3. And that's what I got. So maybe the boundary is, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, really excited to get together. I know you're doing a 5-day thing, but we're available for 3 this year.
Yeah.
And just be ready for all the bobbing and weaving.
Jake, how dare you? I mean, how unkind. Like, don't you know this is the only time we get together all year long?
Oh, man.
I
do, and that's why I'm so looking forward to it. What we've got to give this year, though, is just the 3 days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why do you own your own business, or you have the time off? Like, why wouldn't you want to take it from me? 3 days is what we're willing to give.
Well, Aunt Marge, she's getting up there, and this might be the last time you ever get to spend time with her.
Really excited to see Aunt Marge. over those 3 days,
Yeah.
but we're, 3 days is what, we've got some stuff that we want to do.
And it's not unkind
as well.
That's not unloving.
Not unkind, not unloving. Again, it's actually supporting. And again, you don't have to tell the person this. You're going to get into a huge argument, conversation that you don't want to be in, and you're going to put yourself at risk and the relationship at risk. But just to be able to say, in your own mind, the way you frame it is, this boundary of I'm only going to be there for 3 days instead of 5 is actually supporting the sustainability of the relationship, because again, it's what you need in order to keep yourself safe and not grow resentful, bitter from what happens when you're there 5 days, and it's usually days 4 and 5 that things start to unravel, and like whatever, And so it's like I'm actually advocating for and protecting and investing in the relationship by only coming for 3 days instead of 5. Yeah. Again, you're not going to tell the person that necessarily, because I don't know if they can hear that or if they would agree with it. But in your own mind, it's like, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. And you just kind of say, like, this is what we've got to give. I've even, you could even get to a point with somebody where they're like, they keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And you could say something like, well, gosh, it sounds like it'd be really disruptive for us to only come for 3 days instead of 5. If you think it's better, we can not come at all. That would make me feel really sad, because I actually want to be with you and celebrate with you guys this Christmas. But if it's going to be too disruptive, we can not come. Would that be preferred? And then, of course, at that point, you're either going to get one of two answers. You're going to get like, well, no, we want you to come. Okay, great. Well, 3 days is what we got then. Or they're going to use that to manipulate you and kind of cut you off, and like, yeah, it's better if you just don't come. It's like, oh gosh, like, well, that hurts, and I'm super sad about that. And hey, let me know if you change you don't take that bait. Yeah. Like, let me know if you change your mind.
Probably they're at a 10 in a charge, and in a few hours they might calm down. But no, we would really love for you to come for those 3 days.
That's right. Like, hey, let me know if you change your mind. I'll actually wait a couple of days before I tell my wife and the kids or whatever it is, or before I make other plans. If you're single or something, I'll wait a couple of days before I make other plans. So let me know if you change your mind. If I don't hear from you in a couple of days saying that the 3 days is okay, I'll make other plans, and super sad about that. Yeah. And it's like, that's what it looks like to hold the boundary. Right. Only thing harder than creating a boundary for yourself, a limitation for yourself, is to hold it, right? Right. And not cave to these manipulative tactics or these demands or whatever it is. Yeah. That's another example of kind of a boundary. And then again, another one is like, hey, I'm coming, but I'm not going to stay.
That's a big one.
I'm not going to stay.
Oh no, you don't need to pay for a hotel room. You don't get an Airbnb. We got a guest room. Yeah. No.
And I find that one's the easiest to answer. It's kind of like, hey, I've grown to a place in my life where I just like to really have my own space and kind of be in control of my own environment. And that's something that's really important to me. Yeah. And can't wait to be together during the day, during meal times, on these events that we're doing. It's going to be a blast. But I'm at a spot in my life where I really need, to go home and sleep in the quiet environment of my own room, my own bed. Like that's actually important to me these days, Yeah. And then you've got a place too that you can, again, when you're feeling triggered, when you're feeling 8, 9, 10 charge,
you can escape to that.
You can escape to that, and make it not weird. It's like, hey, I got to run back to the hotel for a second. I got something there, whatever it is.
Just get some downtime.
Yeah, just get out of there. So.
Okay, last topic, real quick. I want to talk to. We had a lot of betrayed partners, trauma survivors that listen to this. Yeah. Holidays, fear starts coming up. And a lot of the fear is around making sure that the person that they love is safe and okay, but also, what is this going to mean for me if they relapse? I mean, just, you can imagine all the different fears that can come up during the holidays. If you were sitting across the table from someone now, having coffee with them, and they're saying, Jake, I'm really afraid, this holiday, what so-and-so might do, how do I help keep them safe? How do I, but I'm also scared that what if they relapse, all that kind of stuff. What would you say to that person?
Yeah, well, I would say the need of fear is protection, help, and refuge. So we've got to figure out what protection, help, and refuge can be established ahead of time as we step into that, okay? And then I might use one of numerous tools, one of which I call the buckets of control. I want to say I learned this the first time from a guy named Mike Foster, who's got a great framework called 7 Primal Questions. He's a great coach out in San Diego, California area. But the 3 buckets of control we might use to establish some of that protection, help, and refuge. And the 3 buckets are, bucket 1 is full control. So what's the protection, help, and refuge I can create and establish that I'm in full control of, okay? The second bucket is partial control. So I can kind of do my side of the street stuff, but it's still going to be dependent on the other person or other people to kind of uphold their end with these protection, help, and control things. And then there's a bucket called no control, right? Naming the things that I have no control of as we step into that, namely whether or not somebody relapses or something like that. I really have no control over that. So we would just go through each of those buckets. And if you're listening to this podcast, I would have you do that. Start with the full control bucket. It's like, what do you have full control of in terms of protection, help, and refuge, keeping yourself safe, that you can put in place, that you can establish ahead of time? You talked about setting up 5-minute-a-day calls with your sponsor, those types of things, right? Checking in together, having that sounding board in place. I'm in full control of that. Like I can establish some type of a rhythm like that. I'm in full control of when I go to an 8, 9, 10, like kind of lowering my charge and going on these walks. I'm in full control of where I stay over the weekends. So anyway, what are these things that I'm in full control of, that I am fully empowered and I can do for myself? Okay. And that gets the lion's share of your focus and energy and effort. Okay. Because I'm in full control of that. And then there's some things like, what am I in partial control of? I can have conversations, list some expectations, list some hopes and longings with the person or the people. But at the end of the day, I can have that conversation, but I can't ultimately control how they're going to respond to it, react to it, if they're going to be willing to be involved, those types of things. But what are the things that I can just control my side of the street and surrender the rest? It's like, I'll own what's mine, and then I got to let you do what you're going to do, And then the no control bucket is the stuff that's to be fully surrendered. It's like, I'm not going to try to control this outcome. And those are the things that become a matter of prayer.
Yeah.
I got to trust somebody or something bigger than me with this.
Yeah.
And it becomes a matter of just prayer.
So good.
Yeah.
Final word, man. What's your hope? What's your dream prayer for this holiday season for our friends that may be struggling, or maybe they're doing great, but they're coming into this season with some apprehension? Yeah. If we're in mid-January, and we're looking back on this season, what's your desired?
Yeah. I would sum it up in one word, and it would be presence. Like, what would it look like to go through this holiday season fully present? Happiness comes from presence, and presence comes from experiencing life through your senses. So if I'm open to what I feel, like those physical sensations in my body with those feelings, and I'm connected to what that's about, and I can figure out what I need in that. I can work to get my own needs met in a healthy way. I don't need anyone else to be responsible for that. But also even our sensory, stuff, like smelling what I smell makes me present. The cider cooking on the stove, the fire burning in the fireplace, the candle that's lit, the Christmas tree aroma, like letting myself experience that and giving that my attention. The warmth of the fire, the warmth of the blanket, the cushion of the couch, the senses on my skin, what I see, the sparkling of the lights, the twinkling of the star on top of the tree, the dancing fire again in the fireplace, or the dancing flame of the candle, the people that I'm with, like really opening my eyes to see them, the tastes that are so great that come along, the sounds, and listening deeply and experiencing, accepting the sounds that are true in my environment. Like, this is how we get present. And if we can learn to get out of our head and stop futurizing and catastrophizing, stop going back to the past where that thing was said or done, and just be in the moment that's real today, happiness comes from that. And my hope would be we get through the Christmas season, we look back and go, man, I was just so present to all of it. That is a very empowered and grounded way to live your life.